Let's do a little review of this week's Torah portion. Parshat Noah. This guy Noah, living in a very corrupt time period. The Torah tells us that he is the most righteous man of his generation. And he is summoned by God and told by God that God has had it with the corrupt society, and God is going to wipe out the world by flooding it. And he tells Noah, you and your family need to build an ark and put on this ark all of the animals of the world so that the animals' nature will survive, because when the flood is over, you can repopulate the world. Flood happens, flood ends, and life goes on through Noah. Problem is that many centuries later, there's a prophet by the name of Isaiah who refers to the flood waters that flooded the earth as the waters of Noah, implying that Noah had something to do with the flood taking place, implying that somehow Noah was guilty and brought about the flood. And over the centuries, many wise rabbis and Jewish sages have said just this. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, what did Noah do wrong? As I said, the Torah tells us that he was considered the most righteous man of his generation. But if you think about the fact that the time period in which he was living was a time period which was filled with incredibly corrupt individuals, whether it was robbers or liars or cheaters or adulterers or who knows what, you take 10 bad guys, you're going to get one of the bad guys who has more ethical qualities than the rest of them. No, I'm not saying that Noah was a bad guy, but in the scheme of things, by saying he was the most righteous of his generation, when you realize the bar was incredibly low, he wasn't a tzaddik, he wasn't a truly righteous soul. Why? The Torah actually tells us what he does that's wrong. Because, again, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. But the fact is, God tells him the world is going to be destroyed, to go home and build an ark. Well, Noah does exactly as God tells him to do. He goes home and he builds the ark. There's a very important verse in the Torah that says we are not allowed to stand idly by as the blood of our neighbor is shed. So we can't stand by as we know someone else is going to be hurt. So the problem, and the reason that Isaiah and countless wise people centuries after Isaiah call the floodwaters the waters of Noah, is that he didn't cry out to the people. He didn't say to his neighbors, you corrupt thief, change your ways, God is going to destroy the world. Or you liar, you need to change your ways, you need to build this ark because you're going to be wiped out. He technically stood idly by as the blood of his neighbors was about to be shed. He didn't technically, he listened to God, he did what he was supposed to do, but he didn't go above and beyond. Now, why didn't he? Maybe he was scared of these incredibly corrupt people. Understandable, if they were such awful people, he didn't want to get involved. Maybe he was selfish. Maybe he was purely interested in his own family's survival. Maybe he didn't care. Maybe there wasn't a bad reason. He just went about doing what God told him to do. didn't know better. He wanted to mind his own business, fulfill God's wishes, and build the ark. No matter why he didn't tell people, the fact is that he didn't. He didn't go and tell his neighbors what was going to happen. Now, I feel that many of us are just like Noah today. We live in a crazy world. We live in a world that has a tremendous amount of corruption and lying and stealing and people treating each other poorly, not showing each other the respect that they deserve. Lots of immorality, lots of violence, terrorism, war, irresponsible people, irresponsible drivers. And the fact is that most of us in this room, we consider ourselves pretty moral, ethical people. We go about our lives trying to do the best thing, trying to live up to the values that we have, and in doing so, we kind of build our own little ark. And we insulate ourselves from the floodwaters, all of the corruption, all of the bad stuff